Oh, because it is 8:00 something. What's going on, everybody? 8:01. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our Thursday night live stream Q&A. And we're going to get into some fun conversation today. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about overrated gear here in a few minutes after we go through our Patreon questions.
We had an early super chat.
Oh, right on.
Super chat from Vinny's World. I don't know how much that is. And he says, Happy 4th of July. Thanks for spending your holiday with us. Super stoked because I get to take the 8-ball and DAF that I installed in my TTG Sunday driver out for a spin tonight at an event.
Oh, right on.
Sweet.
Get to play out. That's pretty sweet.
Thanks for the super chat, Vinny.
Yeah, thank you. So before we get into too much of this stuff, I want to tell everybody, obviously, you can ask guitar questions right over here in the chat. And if you use a super chat, we'll drop what we're doing like we did with Vinny and try to answer that question right away. That's one way you can help support the channel because we don't do ads on these here live streams. And also you can use the links in the description. Some of those links support the channel. Sometimes they're guitar related. Sometimes they're not. Down there, you can check them all out. There's all kinds of stuff. And also, I did not tell you this.
No more overlay with all the info, huh? You deleted it?
Oh, it's down there. Should be down there at the bottom.
That's his off topic.
And what's the one below it?
An off topic question.
What's the one above it?
Shock face.
Yeah, that one right there. Okay. There you go.
Oh, you
Sorry.
changed it.
I changed it
Why did you say
because
shock face.
Because it's what the file is named in Canva when I made it. I need to change the name of it. But anyways, that's it right there. And because instead of having that Cash App thing, that little scanny thing right there goes straight to Dylan Talks Tone if you wanted to order something or look at something while we were talking about it. So, like a lot of times, sometimes during these live streams, we'll talk about, oh, this Strat pickup will fix this problem or whatever. You can click on it and go to the website while we're talking about it, especially if you watch on TV or something.
Not a super chat, but I love these. From Van Shank Guitars, he is celebrating 54 months of membership. Ad free is for me. I think
that's pretty awesome.
Should treat them like super chat, because I think that is a feature for them, right? Like it's a special thing.
It is. It's like a free super chat, basically.
It doesn't come through the same way, but
no, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Ivan.
And then the other thing, Vinny reminded me, 1776, because tomorrow is Independence Day for America. And I'm not one, Matt was talking about this earlier. Matt and I were talking about this, how we don't like to make certain holidays into sales opportunities because it just doesn't seem respectful. But 4th of July is like kind of a fun one. Like everybody, Independence Day is kind of a fun one. So, and I never do sales. So from now until Sunday night, you can go to the website and get $17.76 off any purchase over $150. But you have to use the code 10 fingers left.
What does that mean? Why?
Because if you buy guitar parts instead of fireworks, you'll have 10 fingers left.
Oh. Wow.
Yes. It's safer to buy guitar parts than it is to buy fireworks.
It's cheaper too.
It's also cheaper. Yes. Yes. So if you spend $150 or more on anything, doesn't matter what, you will get $17.76 off. And I did it at 150 because that's more than 10% at 150, which is, So there you go. 10 fingers left.
That is really funny.
Yeah. TEN fingers left. And I'm going to talk about it in my video tomorrow too. I'll probably make a little short about it. So there you go. There's a sale for this weekend. We don't normally do this. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight having to do with hyped gear, overhyped gear. There's been a bunch of stuff that's come out lately that people have talked about a bunch, but I don't think people are actually There's going to be some caveats to this conversation once we get started in it, but I do want to go through the Patreon questions first. Okay. So let's do that first.
That was very condescending.
What?
Okay.
No, I didn't mean like that. I was literally thinking out loud. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It was more my brain going, okay, the next thing is,
Okay.
and I want to talk about a new product too.
Shane. Good morning. Leslie, Brianna, dogs, lizards, snakes, and Dylan. Where's the cats? Carbon fiber question. There was a luthier on Instagram saying you have to be careful with carbon fiber necks because they can become too stiff and thus kill string vibration. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I think that there could come a point where the feeling of the guitar could become a little bit numb. And a lot of people want to weight that very heavily toward the neck. However, neck stability is the number one most important thing in a guitar. If your neck's not stable, you're fiddling with it all the time, you're making adjustments all the time. I would rather, if that thing was stiff enough, well, I mean, I have guitars that the neck is so stiff that you can stand on it and it will not change relief even 1/1000th of an inch. It's so stiff. And I'll tell you right now, those guitars vibrate just fine. The benefit is you never have to mess with them. So I think stability of the guitar outweighs any perceived, and I use that word very intentionally, disadvantage to vibration. That's what I would say.
I love that a lot of Shane's questions are always like, he watched something somewhere and he literally is like, I wonder what Dylan thinks.
I like that too. And I will tell you, hey bud, how's it going? What do you want to say? What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
Hi.
You're all up here. Yeah, I like, and I know for sure, because I've talked to him about it. He wants a challenging question too. He doesn't want some kind of easy swing, you know? I think it's neat.
Rob. Hello, Leslie and Dylan. Silly question. Do you think an SP90H Strat single coil neck P90 middle humbucker bridge would be a usable guitar? If so, which of your pickups would you use for the neck and bridge positions? Thank you.
It would be a little unbalanced. You would have to definitely, I'm not saying you would have to, but there might be situations where you would kind of have to ride the volume knob to compensate between pickup switches. But I would put my Hot 5, a P90, and a Super 8 in that combination, and it probably would work. That's what I would do.
Charles. Hello, Leslie and Dylan. I was wondering why guitar players always complain about guitars are always the same, but when they try something different, they complain about that too. I'm talking about the new PRS.
Because guitar players want you to read their mind. I want it to be just a little different, but not too much different. I think there's a human nature thing that comes into this. This is a no knock about anybody. This is 100% positive, just kind of thinking about it. That I think human nature, if we want an improvement, we want a couple things. Like maybe one, maybe two things that are like, oh, this is cool. Like, but if it's really drastic, then it's sort of off-putting. You know, if you buy a new car and the styling is so different and you can barely recognize the brand anymore, and you get in and you don't know what any of the buttons do because they've changed, or even if you switch brands, if you're a Ford or a Chevy guy and you go buy a Volvo, you won't know what any of the buttons do. Like they're so different. So I think that's it. And I think you have to be an enthusiast of sorts to enjoy the things that are a little further off the mainstream, right? I'm a Land Rover Volvo guy. I can get in there and I love that stuff and I know where all the buttons are, but that's because I spent all the time in the forums back in the day and learned all this stuff. So I think it's the same thing with the guitar thing. Like we're going to do something that's mildly improved but familiar. And like that new PRS, right? That is a niche guitar. I think a lot of people forget that there's only like 200 of them ever. So they're all going to sell out. They're going to be totally gone. And the people that bought them are the people who like super nerded out about them and like went totally down the road of learning about it. And therefore they will appreciate the things about it. The folks that don't like it and don't appreciate it won't do all the research, won't get heavily connected to the guitar, but they won't buy it anyway. So it doesn't matter. I think that's kind of the thing. So I guess the question is, what kind of guitar player are you? Like, are you the kind of person who wants something a little different? Are you a play it safe? There's no wrong answer, right? Are you a play it safe with everything guy? Or are you, or gal, or are you, I want to continue to explore and push the envelope of what I know about. I think it's just different personalities. And I'm glad that there's different personality guitars out there for that. The only thing I wish is the more guys, the guys and the gals who like more conventional guitars, I wish they wouldn't talk so much crap about the folks who like the more unique stuff, because it's just a different approach, right? There it is. He didn't eat it. We came home today to one of our air purifiers with the plug gone, and I could not find it. And I was really afraid that he actually ate it.
I didn't think you would.
I wonder if he unplugged it first or if he got electrocuted. My guess would be is that they, like you said, they were wrestling and tipped it over, and then all of a sudden it was a toy.
Yep.
That's probably what happened. Hey, what's this? This is not yours.
Searching for Tone said guitar players hate two things. One, the way things are, and two, change.
But I think it's not guitar players. I think that's just a human nature thing that, it's the surprise. Did you just fart?
Did you see that? He's like,
Yeah. The thing that surprises me, well, that's probably the kindest way to say it. The thing that surprises me is that guitar playing is supposed to be fun, and these are toys, right? Like these are like, and so people get super upset and angry and really emotionally invested in not liking stuff, and it's just a weird way to be, I guess, for me. I just don't like it. Hey, Bubs. Next question.
Shane, I have 3 experiences with boutique builders. 2 of them gave me awesome guitars, but the third was a huge mistake. Having worked with boutique guitar companies, what advice would you give people when choosing to boutique luthier? Yeah.
I have a video coming out about this actually tomorrow, so I don't want to get too much into it. But because you asked the question, what I will say is, why do you want a boutique instrument? That is the question. Because this is getting really woo-woo, but here's the thing. Does your why align with the guitar builder's why? Because their goal with their instrument and what they envision for people and how they want to move people with that instrument is why they do it. Okay. Vinny was on a comment with me today on Facebook today. He showed me a comment where a guy said, I don't understand why you put all this work into this peg head because it doesn't change the sound. And he had a whole response, but my thought was, I do the artful thing because I'm an artist. and I want to enjoy making the art. Whether you appreciate it or not, it's not a big deal to me. I just enjoy executing the art. So when you choose your guitar builder, why are you doing it? And do you connect with that guitar builder in a way that makes you align? Here's what I will tell you. I've said no to more potential when I was building guitars. I've said no to more potential guitar customers than I ever said yes to, because we were not seeing the same vision. I'm not going to build something that I don't build. I'm not going to do something that I'm not good at. I think this happens a lot of times where I want a custom guitar. I want a very specific thing. Well, I don't really do that thing, but for you, I'll do that thing. Walk away. That's a bad deal, because now the buyer is expecting a vision in their head that does not align with the builder. If a builder does something that you like, buy that guitar, but don't. It's a managing expectations thing. The only bad experience I ever had as a guitar builder, so building guitars and selling them, I had to refund a guy a $3,000 Jazzmaster that I built for him. And I remember thinking the whole time, hindsight's 2020, but I knew that I should have said no on day one. It was one of those where I should have said no. And I had that feeling the entire time, and it went bad. So just, if you get those feelings, then just walk away. But if you really like what they already do, and then it's like, hey, I want it in a different color. I want it in whatever. It's a lot about your expectations and their ability to manage your expectations. I know that sounds backwards. A lot of people can make really good guitars. The mistake always happens, in my opinion, that merging of expectations between the builder and the buyer. Long way around to say that. And we won't get into all of these details tomorrow. So maybe I'm glad he asked it. We're going to talk about some other stuff. I probably only will touch on that a little bit, but it's real important. That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked that.
Garner. Prince's Mad Cat Telly. How hot were those Strat singles wound? And I've read that they were noiseless. This true? Would you consider winding a set of Mad Cat inspired pickups?
They are not noiseless. They are not hot. They're actually pretty low output. And they're actually not Strat pickups. They sort of are, but they sort of aren't. They're sort of upside down Strat pickups in telly clothes. And I would totally be willing to build you a set. I've done probably a dozen sets of them over the years for various people who have wanted them. And I can pull off a really good one. One of the main two main differences. They have real tall magnets, but they're short like a Strat pickup. And instead of the magnet sticking out the top, like on a Strat, it sticks out the bottom. The other difference is, hey, bud, that was your head.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, was it this? The bridge pickup does not have a base plate. So that's the other difference. There you go. But yes, I would be totally happy to do it for you. And they would be $110 a piece. Just shoot me a message. I'll do it.
All right. That was all of the
Cool
questions that came in early.
Okay. So here's my question. What is one piece of gear, hey Bubs, that you have actually bought? So this isn't just like, I think this piece of gear is overrated. What is one piece of gear that you've actually bought that everybody said, oh, you have to get this, and then you were disappointed with it? Get in the chat and let us know what that is. How did it let you down? You know what I mean? Like those sorts of things. I'm really interested to hear that. Because we can all just bag on gear that we think is overrated, but I don't think that's fair. I think we've all been probably at some point or another disappointed by, oh, I thought this was going to be awesome and I got it and it wasn't, and I threw it back on reverb or whatever. So what is that for you? I'm having a hard time thinking of something. I've had a couple of signature wahs that I didn't like. The HX Stomp by Line 6. That would be my biggest one. Everybody loves that thing, and I could just never get it to work right for me. I've had all the other modelers. I went back to Kemper, but I had an HX Stomp for probably, I don't know, 6 months or something, and I could just never connect with it. And it was right at the height of when all the videos were out. Everything was like, you have to have one of these. This is the hottest thing. And I just could never get it to work for me. That's probably the one I could, right off the top of my head, that's the one I could think of.
Logical Q said an optical wah pedal.
Oh, interesting. I get that because there is a disconnection there, right? Who made those? It wasn't Morley. I remember those. And they felt weird. They felt like an early drive-by wire car. There was just like a weird, it just didn't feel right.
Another comment on, or a comment on the custom. Presley, California Custom said expectations definitely need to be addressed in the beginning of a process of making a custom guitar for someone. Certain personalities just shouldn't buy hand-built instruments.
Isn't that an interesting take? And I 100% agree with you. Yes. I'm glad you said it that way. I hope that lands with people because that's really true.
Mm-hmm. Chicken Waller Farm had a question about the carbon fiber neck reducing vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stiffer materials transfer vibrations more than absorb vibrations? Wouldn't carbon fiber be better than wood in that respect?
Yeah, so here's where you get into the physics versus the perceived feeling, right? So if something's very stiff, it will isolate vibrations into the thing that is not stiff. So if the neck is very stiff, it will isolate the vibration in the strings, which is what you want on an electric guitar. Now on an acoustic guitar, it's different because you're trying to, well, actually it's not different. A McPherson, for example, will, in fact, you were there, at our member hangout the other night when we were talking about this. A McPherson acoustic guitar actually doesn't even glue the neck to the top because it's trying to isolate the neck from the top. The top and the sound box are the only thing that you want to vibrate. You don't want the neck to vibrate. And there's a lot of people that will say that the neck is totally key to everything having to do with how a guitar sounds, but it's not actually true because you're really trying to isolate on an electric guitar the vibration in the strings, and you're trying to transfer on an acoustic guitar the vibration of the strings to the soundboard. If you allow too much of that energy to escape through the neck, it's not going to the soundboard. So you're going to lose volume and you're going to lose sustain when you do that. Same thing with an electric guitar. If you allow too much vibration to escape out through the neck and the peg head and all that, then that transverse wave that should be traveling from the saddle to the bridge, to the saddle to the bridge, back and forth, will stop sooner. The amplitude will be lower and you'll have less tone, bro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Physics is fun.
All right, I'm going to go back to the top.
All right.
Tazzy Tim says, sorry, mate, I've had to cancel my membership due to finances. Totally cool.
Dude, no worries, man.
Dan Andrade said that new PRS is a work of art. If I had the cash, I'd buy one.
Isn't it neat?
Tazzy Tim said if I had the cash, I would definitely get the new PRS. So then, oh, here we go. Chicken Waller Farm had a comment on the custom too. Dylan, that is the unfortunate nature of building anything custom. You can't imagine how many custom built-in furniture pieces I've mocked up for the customer and then they weren't satisfied with it.
So he and I were discussing this the other night, actually. Chicken Waller Farm and I were discussing this the other night on our Patreon hangout. And we were talking about how it's so difficult to get people to imagine something that doesn't exist. In fact, I was talking to Matt about it today.
I can't.
Yeah, we were talking about that with art because you're taking this art, you're working on some art software. And it's very difficult to visualize something that doesn't exist. So when we say we have all these options for pickups, I have to build them and take pictures and put them on Instagram. Otherwise, people don't understand it. And it's the same thing with a guitar. The vision that you see in your head versus reality is invariably two different things. And so it's really hard to bring that together. Yeah. And then with what he does all that super crazy restoration of stuff. Like, and maybe it didn't exist. Maybe part of it was gone. Maybe he had to like visualize what it should have been, or, like he has to do all kind of crazy stuff. So yeah, it takes imagination and it takes communication and there's a certain thing. We go through it all the time. When somebody sends me a message and says, I want my guitar to sound like this. I mean, I could just give them, this is what you should do, but you really have to help them and they have to help me like visualize what, and kind of get an idea for what you actually want before we give you a recommendation. It takes more work, Must be somebody in the street. Yeah. They're not barking yet.
Okay, then Play Gibson says, disappointing gear purchase. My head rush processor. It lacks soul. This display screen is too small for me to see, and based on what is actually satisfying to me about it, it was not money well spent.
All right. Yeah.
Vinny's World said the Meowgulator. I love it still, but it didn't attract all the cats in the neighborhood like I thought it would.
Yeah. Okay.
Logical Q is the one who commented about the optical wah. He said it was a digital feeling disconnect, the antithesis of analog, and something that I wanted to feel analog.
Yep. I get exactly why. I remember those, and I remember why that fell that way. Yep.
All right. So then Tyler asked a question that some people responded to. So I was just going to read through these, and I guess you can answer it first, and then I'll read through what other people said.
Okay.
So Tyler said, would you rather be only able to play Fender style guitars or Gibson style guitars? And he did say for anyone reading this, but I thought it would be fun to say it out loud.
My first answer would be Fender style guitars, because then I could, well, first of all, I like a 25.5-inch scale length. Second of all, they're more moddable. Like you could put humbuckers in a Strat, but it's hard to put single coils in a Les Paul, if that makes sense. So if I had to be stuck with one style of guitar, I'd probably go Fender.
All right. So then folks responding.
Whoops.
BC Rich 581 said Gibson style, which is weird for me since I'm mainly a bass player and basses are largely drawn from Fender Strat designs, yet I don't find Strats that comfortable versus Gibsons, which is odd. 3J Music said, I love both, but if I had to choose, Fender style are more comfortable for me. Vinny's World said, a few years ago, I'd have said Gibson. Nowadays, it's Fender because I can do more with them.
Yeah.
Play Gibson says, I love my Gibsons and I am a huge Gibson fan, but I play my Fenders more and I don't know why.
I play my Gibsons more than I play my Fenders in practice, but I don't know. Well, I got one of each right here, so I guess I just grab one versus the other. Doesn't matter.
Run through a couple other one. VS says Gibson 100%. ES 175 with P90s can't be beat.
Oof. Amen to that.
Free Reign Voltaic says, I prefer Fender because they're modular. Snap a neck, 4 bolts, and you have a new one.
Yep.
Chicken Waller Farm says Gibson because Firebird.
Oh.
Searching for Tone says Fender because there's more models. All right. I think this is just a comment about custom things too. Play Gibson says, hey, Dylan and Leslie, I've learned 2 things dealing with people in the creative space. Surprise me is never a good plan, and no good deed goes unpunished. Cheers to try.
Oh, for real.
Yep.
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Chicken Waller Farm says, I can't think of guitar gear that I have bought that is overhyped, but I can tell you that I have used several Shopsmith multi-tool systems and never been happy with them. Alonzo White said, I bought a Yamaha guitar a few years ago. All the YouTubers were saying how hot, I don't know, good, her. It says how her they were, but I don't know what that's misspelling. I returned it after a month because the fretboard seemed too narrow for my fingers.
Yeah, there's going to be there are a lot of, you got to be careful with the YouTube thing because there's going to be a lot of people that promote guitars based on income opportunity and not necessarily based on whether it's actually right for a person or not. So you kind of have to filter through that.
Presley California Customs has a dad joke.
I'm ready.
Why did the humbucker refuse to marry the single coil after the first date?
Why?
He wanted to play the magnetic field.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Dog Dr. Tim says thumb picks. Why?
So my dad used to do a lot of flat picking, and he always had the thumb and then all the little tiny finger ones too. And I remember because I bit my fingernails ever since I was a little kid, and I remember putting them on and like going around the house and like trying to scratch stuff. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. Floyd Bailey says, so out of your pickup line, what do you think would make a great hum single set?
Oh, that's easy. 2 hot 5s and a Super 8 humbucker. Hey, buddy. Yeah, that's 2 hot 5s and a Super 8. That is my favorite. I don't have it in a guitar right now because I don't have a single hum Strat, but man, that's the move. And there's going to be a bunch of people in the comments who have done it, and you can talk to them about it, and just don't take my word for it because it's the funnest.
Dan Andrade says, I try to play my acoustic Fender style and Gibson equally.
Oh.
Marcia Murray says Fender because of the Jazzmaster.
Makes sense.
Hogman Hawk says Fluence Strat pickups could not sound as good as Greg Koch. LOL.
Well, nobody can sound as good as Greg Koch, but at the same time, those are pretty neat pickups. I don't like the single coil ones as much, but I really like their humbuckers. I think they're really good. And the Telly ones are really good too. I had a set of those for a while. They're really good.
We need some comments or questions or something.
If you have a question about guitar stuff, get it in the chat.
Question you want to answer to also? Like overrated gear?
Okay, so yeah, the overrated gear thing. Here's a question. If the piece of gear so let's broaden it out to stuff that you just think is out there right now. You're like, oh my gosh, everybody's talking about it and I wouldn't want it. if whatever it is, say what it is, if it was cheaper, would it influence your decision? So is it a cost thing? The reason why you don't think you want it? So let's move it from stuff we already own to stuff we've just seen now. Like stuff out in the world that, like, for example, that PRS thing, that super expensive PRS thing. If that guitar was $3,500, would it be more realistic? You know, because that guitar, even if it wasn't a PRS, wouldn't be less than $3,500. There's just a lot of stuff there. So that's a realistic price for even a more basic version, or anything like that. If X gear that is we've had in the gear news lately seems overrated to you, if it was cheaper, would it be more desirable? That's what I want to know.
Do you have one?
That PRS.
Okay.
It's $6,800. I think it's worth every penny, but that's a bad example because I don't play that kind of music that guitar is made for. But and I don't necessarily think it's overhyped because it's a limited edition. So maybe that's a bad example. That guitar's not overhyped because they only have 200 of them and they're all going to be sold super quick. So that's no big deal. I definitely think I think anything Harley Benton is overhyped. I think that all the Behringer stuff is overhyped. The new Moog knockoff,
Yeah, but you're not answering your own question. You wouldn't buy any of that if it was cheaper.
I wouldn't. So yeah, that's true. I wouldn't. But see, I don't base stuff on price. That
Maybe not guitar stuff, but I'm not surprised you asked that question because 100% if we're shopping and you like look at something and you're like, it's not really $35. Like if it was like $20, probably.
Yeah, I have done that. But a lot of times that's not hobby stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's like a really expensive pocket knife right now that I would buy if it was cheaper that I'm not buying now. But see, even that's hard for me because I can appreciate the art in it. So like if I look at a Rockstead folder made in Japan that's $2,600, I would love to own one. I'm not going to because I'm not willing to spend the money on it.
But it's not because it's not worth it.
But yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's just not worth it to me right now because I don't want to spend the money on it. So because I don't look at things.
If it was cheaper, would you buy it?
Okay. If it was $800, I'd buy it. Yeah. If it was $800, I'd buy it for sure. You know, I've looked for them used, but I don't know. But that's not a hype thing either. That's like, can you afford this piece of art? That's the way I see it. I don't know. I guess I personally don't identify very well with the hype thing because I'm product developed for a living. Like that's what I do. So I'm like, and the way I analyze a product is who is this for? I think a lot of times when people, oh, that thing is totally overhyped, it's because that product is not for them. So they think it's overhyped, but it's actually for somebody else. Right? If you don't want to buy it, it just means that product's not for you. And then I just kind of dismiss it. I don't think about it anymore. I don't give it any more mental energy after that. So this is a harder one for me, but that's why I wanted to talk to everybody else about it too.
All right.
Trying to get people to
give you the answer.
No, just trying to identify with others because I don't think this way. So just having a conversation about it will help me to identify with others that feel differently.
All right. Hawkman Hawks disagrees with you. He said the Hot 5 with Center Punch 8 is the best.
Okay.
Ibji says a Klon clone. I don't know if that's his.
Any clone is probably overhyped. I agree.
Free Reign Voltaic says the Geiger locking tremolo is not worth $140. You can get a Goach for $20 less.
A Goto? Really?
I don't know. Oh, Goto. Yeah, that's not a C.
Really?
BC Rich 581 says fanned fret basses seem overhyped to me because on what you can actually hear versus what is promised with regards to intonation.
Okay. That might be a good one. There's probably a lot of guitar mods and features that I would consider overhyped because I feel very strongly that if the designer of the instrument designed it that way, it can be set. Like, for example, a three saddle bridge on a telly, or a 2-post tremolo, or a 6-screw tremolo. People that want to mod this stuff, locking out this or that, or doing all these various things because they think they need these fixes for various stuff. And the fact is they just don't know how to set up their guitar very well. I think those kind of things, when I think of overhyped, I think of gadgets and gizmos that are sort of unnecessary if you really understand how to set up your guitar. That would probably be where I would go with this.
Matthew Altamere says, I'm the type, if it were something on a different level like the PRS, I'd be more willing to spend money if it were cheaper to find out if I actually like it. Like, get the SE first, then decide.
That is a fair point. Yeah.
Dan Andrade says, I must say the hip shot baby grand bridge I put on the LP I built looks cool, but I think it's slightly overpriced.
Okay.
Dog Dr. Tim said knives are a good example, and if Gibson Les Pauls were less expensive, I would have more of them. I love my Fender style guitars, but a Les Paul just looks so much better. Or does it?
Mm-hmm.
Play Gibson said, for me, it's a Strandberg headless guitar. Would love to have a Strandberg guitar, non-multi-scale, but don't want to spend over $1,000 to have one.
Makes sense. I get that.
Chicken Waller Farm says, dude, all of my woodworking tools are quality tools that I've researched. Japanese steel for hand-built block planes, yada, yada, yada. But I don't approach my amateur play for fun guitar gear the same way.
I get that.
Vinny's World said, I think there's the opposite effect too, where because a competitor like Mesa or Marshall raised their prices, it makes some hyped alternatives feel like a better deal, particularly for amps.
Okay.
VS says real tape echoes are way overhyped.
Ha.
Owned Space Echoes, Echo Plexes, Full Tones, etc. A good EP preamp and a Strymon Volante sound almost exactly the same.
Those are things that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. That's like owning an old Volvo. If you're into it, you're into it. But you have to also know all the little fiddly things and know how, like, they do work and they're very cool, but you kind of have to go all the way in and learn about them and learn how to fix them and you have to learn all the things to enjoy them. And if you're not into that, I agree. It's easier just to buy a digital delay and yeah, exactly.
It is quarter till. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yes. So we have a new thing coming out that I want to talk to you guys about. Because the prototype will be ready tomorrow. And I will be selling the prototype because I don't ever keep anything. This is really cool. People have been asking me about this for a very long time. People have been asking me for my answer to the Seymour Duncan quarter pounder. And I have bucked against it for so long. And but here it is. This is the very first one. It is 1/4-inch magnets. And it is 43 gauge wire. And it is 9.5K. This thing is going to snarl. I'm probably going to put it in the Somnium tomorrow and we're going to do a demo with it.
This is like
I've never
first look.
I've never actually, I built it today and haven't even there's no base plate on it. Hasn't been wax potted, nothing. And I'm building the neck pickup in the morning. So the trick was we had to figure a bunch of stuff out so that it all fits, because when the wire's bigger, obviously that makes the core of the pickup bigger, which means, and of course we had to cut all the custom flat work because nobody makes this size of holes. So we had to do all that work today. So, I've been working on it. There it is. We're going to put it probably in the Somnium tomorrow or I don't know. Tomorrow's a holiday. So, but I don't know. I probably will still goof around with it this weekend and get it to somewhere where we can talk about it maybe next week. So it's pretty cool. It's going to be a neat one. I don't know how much it's going to cost yet. It's probably going to be in the $120 area. Because the magnets are a little more expensive than a regular telly. But hey, bud, what you doing? So yeah, pretty excited about it.
Dog Dr. Tim said, same on the headless guitars. Never thought I'd buy one, but you flung a Craven on me. Looking forward to the videos.
Interesting. Yeah.
Curtis Chavez, hype. I feel that any stock guitar made before the last 5 to 10 years that has a coil split feature is overhyped. Also, guitars with too many switches don't sound any better and are confusing.
I am kind of with you. Now, a coil split, if you use our center punches, they work really well. They don't volume drop. They're engineered to work properly and sound awesome. But man, besides that, coil split on a neck pickup, I don't even use it on a bridge really. To me, that's as far as I'm going to go with fancy stuff. Maybe series on a Telecaster, but lots of switches and push pulls and junk I'm not really into.
Hogman Hawks wants to know, can that be made like a Strat pickup?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Curtis Chavez, I have my eye on a guitar at TTG. What do you think of lipstick pickups?
They're a pain in the butt to make. And they're cool, but in my opinion, they are not as versatile as a good Strat pickup. They're a little one-dimensional. So, the very first thing I think of when I think of lipstick pickups is Tin Pan Alley by Stevie Ray Vaughan, which is one of my favorite guitar tones of all time. But that's kind of all they do. They do more, I guess, but a good Strat pickup.
They're so little. Is that why?
The coil is very, very small, and the structure of them puts it to where they're very far from the strings, no matter what you do. And they're just not very powerful. You can play around with magnet types and stuff. I've found the most effective is Alnico 4 with those. We used to make them. But the hardware is really expensive. The tubes themselves are actually really expensive, and the base plates that go with them. And we have to buy these little tiny brass special screws, and it's a whole thing to make them. But they do sound cool. But if you were going to buy a TTG that fit those, I would put a set of our Hot 5s in it, and that was where I would go. You should definitely buy one of their guitars, by the way.
Silence.
Yeah, good questions, though.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some fun questions tonight, actually.
Yeah, the time has gone fast, but then we get caught up, and I'm like, what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah, I think Hawkman Hawks, if you asked about the Strat thing, they would just end up being really hot. They would end up being like a 9K, something like that. Yeah, because the height would be the same. It would basically be just like that, like 9.5K with A5 1/4-inch rods. I think that would fit on a Strat bobbin. It would fit on a Strat bobbin. if we used 43 gauge wire. You couldn't use 42 double build. It wouldn't fit. Be too fat. Because the magnets are way bigger. They're way thicker. 187 to 250 is a long way. So wouldn't seem like it, but it's a lot. It really changes the core size of the pickup. So yeah.
T-Bone says, happy 4th, Dylan and Leslie. Dylan, have you played the Fender Ultra 2? I was really impressed with the one I played.
I have. I had one for a while, and it was really, really nice guitar. I'm not a noiseless pickup fan, so I went for the American Vintage 2, but I had an American Vintage 2 and an Ultra 2 at the same time so that I could compare and decide. We actually did a video about it. We did a shootout video between those two, and I decided to go with the American Vintage 2. But those guitars are fantastic. They are really, really good. I just wanted a more vintage sort of feeling and looking telly.
Play Gibson said, what is your preferred noise gate and pedal tuner?
Pedal tuner, I have a Polytune TC electronic something that I like. I don't typically use a pedal tuner though. I typically so like when we do videos and stuff, I actually unplug and use a Peterson strobe. I have a Peterson strobe that I use for everything, all my guitar setups and all. So I use that and I just bring it in here and I just plug into it and use it. I do that because people always say I'm out of tune and I'm like, no, I'm not. You want to see? As far as a noise gate goes, I am not a fan. I actually don't use them. And the reason I don't use them is not because I think they're great. Like if I do use one, it's just the one in my Kemper. So I have one in my Kemper. So I don't really have like an aftermarket one or like a separate pedal one or whatever. But I don't actually use them. The reason I don't is because I'm a pickup guy and I want to be hearing what the pickup is doing. So if somebody says, are your pickups noisy? Are they whatever, this or that? Are they quieter than whatever? Then I can have a good idea of that in various situations. You know, these lights and stuff are super noisy. So they create noise. So just depending on where you are in the house and what power supplies you use. When I play in the van, because we have a 3,000 watt full sine wave inverter in there, that can be a little noisier than normal AC. So I like to know what my pickups are doing. So I rarely use a noise gate.
Dr. Tim said, hopefully you realized I was referring to the Pearson that is headed your way.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Rod Music says, what are your thoughts on G&L MDF pickups and the Fender thin line humbucker that had QNFA magnets?
The humbucker's cool and those MFDs are cool. I think they're really different. They're different than a P90. They're actually very similar. Honestly, they're more similar to a Telecaster pickup than they are to a P90, even though they look more like a P90. They have a stainless steel, or they have a steel, copper-plated steel base plate in them, and a big ceramic magnet on the bottom. They're very, very interesting pickups, and they sound great. They sound really good. I like a P90 better, but that's just because I'm a P90 guy. But they're really cool.
Vinny's World says, how feasible is it to put two single coils next to each other in a hum configuration?
Very feasible. I've done that lots of times for people.
Curtis Chavez says, Peterson strobe tuner, classic overkill, Dylan.
I'll tell you why. It's because haters in the comments. And also that's the noise gate thing. So what I try to do when we do videos is be as accurate as possible. I don't want to be like a know-it-all because I don't know everything, but I want to be as accurate as within my power as I can be. So be as in tune as I can be with the best tool possible, and don't use a noise gate so that people don't think I'm over processing stuff, so that they get to hear the real raw thing. We just did a video about that. And that's what I care about. Like, I just really want to be accurate. It's not necessarily about knowing everything. I just want to be accurate to what I know, if that makes sense. Yep.
All right. They have to catch up again or ask questions some more. Do you want to circle back to your deal before Guitar Hour is over?
Yeah. So maybe we should put it on the screen. Here, type this in.
Type it in where? Oh,
just type it in.
Text field?
Yeah, that's.
I'm ready.
It is 10 fingers left. All one word. And you just hit add.
Wait, do you want to say what it's for, or you just want it?
Yes. Yeah, let's say what it's for. It's for any purchase over $150. There you go. Any purchase over $150 this weekend, you'll get $17.76 off in honor of Independence Day. But you have to use this code. That's it. And it goes until Sunday night at 11:59. Yep.
There you go.
I just thought it was funny because, fireworks.
So also, a couple people commented, they were like, you didn't think about soldering. You're talking about the 10 fingers left. They talked about soldering. And then Dog Dr. Tim also said it's a sign you know how to use your power tools also, 10 fingers left. I actually just saw a meme. It won't apply to everybody because not everyone probably has teaching hospitals in their area. We do have a teaching hospital here. So it was a reminder that new residents just started on July 1st. So they only have 3 days of experience before you show up like an idiot with some kind of injury.
That is funny. That is funny.
Oh.
Yeah. If you want rookie doctors putting your fingers back on.
Yeah. Vinny's World said he'll reach out on the website. Hawkman Hawk says, when is the next DTT box, or have I missed the second?
Oh, man. I didn't do a second one. We need to do it.
Is it quarterly?
I was going to do it quarterly, and we missed the second quarter is what happened. Because I just got busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
I will start working on that. Maybe I'll work on that.
You didn't miss it.
No, you did not miss it. We'll do it again.
Curtis Chavez says, are Hot Fives sort of like gray bottom CBS era Strat pickups?
They're hotter than that. All of our Strat pickups are gray bottom because I like the material. It's stiffer than the black stuff, and so it just makes a nicer physically nicer construction. But they are 6.8 to 7.2 depending on the day, because temperature and stuff. And they are Alnico 5, and they're a little taller. So the magnets are a little taller. So they're pretty hot, but they're fun. They're super fun. And they're still super clean. Like, they still clean up really well. Like, don't think you're losing anything. It's more you're gaining something. They're super fun, especially with a Super 8 humbucker. That's my favorite. Or apparently a Center Punch 8, which I would also get behind.
Cool. Dog Dr. Tim said, count me in on one of those boxes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure we'll sell a bunch of them. I think we sold 20 of them last time.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great J-Month thing to do, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Well, it is off-topic hour.
Yes, 9:00.
So if you have a question that is off topic, please ask it. You can pretty much ask whatever you want, and we'll probably answer it. If you have a guitar question after 9:00, it has to be in a super chat. If it's not in a super chat after 9:00, we will ignore it until next week, because the whole point of off topic hour is to just get to know y'all and hang out. And
yeah. And not hold it till next week. You have to come back next week and ask it again because we're not going to keep it.
Right. Or you could join Patreon.
Yes.
And Patreon members get 10% off on the website all the time. Just FYI. And YouTube members, that little join button down there.
Can they stack discounts?
They cannot.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
They cannot stack discounts. It's too hard to keep track of that. So no, they can't. It's a software thing. What was I going to tell you too? I don't remember. Anyway.
What's off topic? Is that what you were going to tell me?
We need to make a new ink video. Probably do that tomorrow.
Okay.
I got a new knife sharpener.
You did.
For sharpening axes and lawnmower blades and stuff. It's really awesome. The Work Sharp Ken Onion Work Sharpener thing. It's a belt, electric belt one. But I got it because I was not happy with how sharp or lack of sharp my throwing axes are. And I tried to do it with a sander, and it just wasn't cutting
We
it.
should have a competition and record it.
What do you mean?
Axe throw.
Axe throwing? That'd be funny.
I haven't even done it yet.
Oh, man. It's so fun.
So if I beat you, it'd be extra.
It's super frustrating at first until you really get it, and I still haven't. Like, it's definitely, I don't understand how drunk people downtown can do it.
You're assuming they can.
I guess. Maybe I am. Because there's definitely technique to it. You don't just throw an axe and it stick every time. Like it's a thing. And then there's different weights, right? So I have 2 different kinds. And so I have the official Waddle throwing hatchets, and they're heavier. And then I have the other ones. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
All right. There was something over here off topic.
Oh, was there?
Shane, off topic. How is the back doing? How do you manage the pain?
It's been okay this week. I've been pretty good. Managing it is honestly the most effective thing is I have to schedule. I can't do anything for more than 15 or 20 minutes. I have to really pace my day. And I have to really be careful about what I do. If I have to do some sort of chore around the house, that means I probably will be out of commission for a day or 2 after that. So I really have to be careful and really pace things correctly. And there are certain physical activities I just cannot do. So, yep.
Chicken Waller Farm says off topic. Dylan, as a small business owner and entrepreneur, what do you do for retirement and medical insurance and such?
Work till I die. Yep. And she has a real job. So,
That probably helps a little.
yes. Yep. Now, I have some plans, but I am still working on them. I'm still working on them. I don't really have anything I want to say out loud, but I have some stuff, I'm working toward a program that will be easily maintainable at whatever age that I am, I guess. And of course that's a whole lot of things. That's, money out as is important as money in, right? So managing all that. But the other thing too is where we are in life right now with a family and grandkid and managing all that. Some of my progress towards all of that is kind of put on hold a little bit because we have this in-between life stage that we're dealing with now. And I'm not saying we have to like support our kids or anything. They're doing great, but we want to. So you want to be able to, if they need something or want something, you want to be able to help them with it. So it just kind of changes your priority for where you're.
Even if it's time, just being available
Yeah.
is a huge
Yeah.
thing, I think. Yeah.
And I think retirement wise, that's what I think about is time. I don't necessarily, I can't see myself ever wanting to stop working. I can see myself getting to a place health wise where what I do has to be managed, because it already does. Like I can't work all day now. So there will be a time where maybe I will have to use my brain and more, and my back and my hands even less than I do now. So I'm sure that will have to be looked at. But even now we really care about time management. I really care about how much we work. Like, and even like on Thursdays, I have to stop. I mean, I guess I've never talked about this really that much, but on Thursdays I stop at like 2. I couldn't work all day. Well, I can never work all day. I can never. So I couldn't. For example, I would not be able to cut the grass today, work, and then come and do this at 8:00. I wouldn't be able to do it. There's just no way. So it's tough, but it's also why we've chosen this life, because it makes things more flexible.
Chicken Waller Farm, I don't know what he said. I just guffawed. I don't know what that word means. He said, I plan on working till I die, and my wife has a real job too. But he's 50 with a 10 and 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Different stages
of life for us. Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
No.
I would cry.
Yeah, no. That's not I don't want to do that again.
Shark Air, I don't know who that is, said, I sent you a text. Did you get it? Is that somebody you know personally, or do they not mean a real text?
Probably not a real text.
Everybody uses text interchangeably for like Messenger and chat.
I mean, I don't know who anybody's real name is, so I got some messages, but I don't know who they are.
All right.
Yep.
And that's work related, so we're just going to move on.
Yep.
What do y'all got? What else we got? What else do we have off topic?
I've been spending a lot of time learning Chat GPT stuff. You've spent a lot of time learning Adobe Illustrator.
Yep. I'm not done yet.
No? There's a lot there, huh?
Well, it's a long course.
Is it?
And it's just in bite-sized pieces, and then you have to practice, which I never do practice things, but I have.
Really? So you're actually kind of digging this, huh?
Surprisingly, yes.
Because I literally asked you to do it as a favor because I just didn't have the...
Yeah. No, it is really cool, actually. And what I also like, I think because of the work I do, like, I'm really good at critiquing things. And he also included some files that are like, how would you fix this? Because that also teaches you the tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you fix your own mistakes or somebody else's? Can you find why it's a mistake even?
Oh.
So that was fun, little challenge, but yeah. He also is like progressing, like we've done the same activity different times, because as you build skills, he's like, now do it. You know, like you learned another thing, like now
try
like,
this thing
you
again.
can do it this rudimentary way, and he's like progressing you through to more advanced.
And now you
like,
know all
now
these
do
shortcuts,
this.
and it's like way easier and faster and
Yeah.
stuff. So the reason she's learning Adobe Illustrator is because when we're
So we're both learning AI, just different AI.
Because when we are, will help us to create a lot of our own vectors and stuff for the laser. So it'll make us a lot freer to use and more creative with the laser. That's the idea. So when somebody sends me a design, I can do stuff with it, but as cool of stuff as I'm doing with the laser, it's the most basic rudimentary stuff. There's way more cool stuff you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be very helpful to learn Adobe Illustrator. And so, but I just don't have the brain capacity to learn another piece of software. So she's doing it.
Is it the ice maker?
No, that feels like fireworks. I'm curious. Hang on. He seems fine so far. We have one dog that has a hard time with fireworks, so I'm just checking on him. Yeah, and then I'm learning. I'm really trying to understand the tool that is ChatGPT and not just like the meme of it. And man, has it been helpful.
Apparently, a guffaw is an explosive laugh.
Oh, okay.
It makes me, that is definitely, I don't know why, when he said guffawed, all I could think, and it could be coincidence because I've had to watch a lot of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I was just like, goofy. Like, it just seemed like the character Goofy.
Goofy, yeah.
Like, I could hear him saying the word guffawed. Like, I knew it was a word, but I feel like that is a word he would say instead of doing the action, if that makes sense. Hogman Hog says he's 51 with a 13-year-old. Blaze YouTube says 62 here with a 15-year-old.
Dang.
Also autistic. He said no retirement for me. Yeah, that's tough. Curtis Chavez says crushed ice cubes or other. Nugget ice from
Zaxby's ice. Zaxby's or Sonic, right?
Sonic, yep.
Yeah. We have an ice maker. I guess both of our ice makers make the half moon ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I told this story on Patreon the other night, but we have a normal fridge, right? Like just a normal fridge with a normal ice maker. And about 6 months ago or something, it quit working. And I did all the research and was like, okay, it's not freezing lines. And I did tons because I'm like, I don't want to spend $3,500 or however much they cost on a new fridge. Like, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. And we had this little cabinet down here that
it was full.
Well, it was full, but I was like, we could use this. And so we bought one of those like dorm fridge style ice makers. And I installed it and it's all cool and fits in the cabinet and everything.
It wasn't cool at first, but then we got a custom door made.
Yeah, it's awesome. And about a month after we bought the ice maker in the fridge started working again. So I don't
think it's working now again.
Oh, really?
I haven't tried it lately, but I don't think it's working. Thankfully, it worked while our daughter-in-law was pregnant and she craved crushed ice. It worked then, so it did its job when it needed it to.
Oh, because it does crushed ice and this other one doesn't.
Yeah. This is funny. Dog Dr. Tim said, I'm learning to use a MedNote program called ScribeNote. It listens to my verbalized exam finding and puts them in medical notes. Since it eavesdrops on me, I have named it Snoop.
That's pretty funny.
Blaze YouTube says, Leslie, consider Inkscape an open source alternative to Illustrator. Do people use open source just because it's free? Like you're already paying for the Adobe suite because we have to have it. And Illustrator is just something we haven't taken advantage of.
Yes. I think they do it different now. I think you used to could buy it like a la carte, but now I think it's like
everything.
This is the visual ones. This is the other, so I think Adobe Illustrator.
It comes with Photoshop and all that. Yeah. Are you getting up? What are you doing?
I'm checking to make sure this dog is okay.
Okay.
I got my foot on him and I'm just kind of feeling, he'll start shaking a little bit and he'll be a little nervous. Flat out terrified, actually.
Yeah.
But I think he's okay.
But Blaze also made a comment about that was a good way to learn Illustrator. So I'm feeling like maybe she uses that. So I would be open to why or if you like one over the other. He said open source also avoids shitification.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Dan Andrade says, I'm 68 and care for my mother. She wants to die at home.
That is definitely a thing.
Well, I mean, not that that's cool. That was terrible timing. I was just, sorry.
Wow.
What else? I don't feel like I have.
I don't have a whole lot. I've been really. Oh, the other off-topicy thing is our car is broken, so that's in the shop.
Yep.
So we're working. We've got a loaner car to drive.
It's horrible.
Yeah, our AC quit, and it's 100 degrees here. So
that's dumb.
Well, our AC quits intermittently, and I don't know why. So, yep. So that's happening, but no big deal. Just brought it in, and they gave us a car to drive, and we're not putting miles on our car. That car only had 13 miles on it when they gave it to me.
Oh, no. But my attitude is always like, oh, well, we'll just put miles on this car.
Yeah, I don't care.
Not mine.
I don't care. The way I look at it is I'm paying for a car I can't drive right now. So,
Sure.
You know. Yep.
All right. We, since it's slow and it's a landmine outside, I think maybe we should call it.
Yeah, because we're going to probably need
It's going to get worse.
We're going to need to take care of these dogs.
This is just neighborhood. I think the scheduled ones are at 9:45.
Oh, are they? So, yeah, it's Fort Gordon, Fort Eisenhower.
It's Gordon again.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Army base is like half a mile from us, and they do a huge fireworks show every year, and it's really close to us. So the dogs are probably going to be freaking out tonight and tomorrow night. Well, our dog won't, but Brianna's dog does not like fireworks or thunderstorms.
Come on.
Here, bud. Before we go, come here.
No.
Come on. Come on.
Nope. Oh, no, here.
Oh, here. Oh, here he comes. There he is.
Say bye.
All right. Well, cool. We will see you guys. I'll have a video out tomorrow and probably one on Saturday. I hope you guys enjoy your day off. We'll see you later.